Good evening, everybody. I will get started as soon as we had a superintendent a couple of minutes ago. We could start without him, but I think he probably just went to the restroom. So some more seats up front if everyone wants to come in. No one wants to come in. Okay, we're going to start anyway. Can you please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States. Thank you all for coming. I think we have another special treat tonight from looks like the string quartet. Yeah, string quartet. Okay, I think that kind of counts as the fourth grade quartet. Go ahead. I think it's great to start our meeting with the talent of our students. There's another special round of applause. Next item on our agenda tonight is probably one of the best things that we get to do around here as school board members is student recognition. Mr. Hopper.
Thank you, Mr. Madone, and welcome everyone. I wanted to share that Mr. Caskey, our RISE tech teacher, sends his regrets. Unfortunately, he was in an automobile accident. He is well and was unable to make it, but he sends all his congratulations to all of our recipients. And I'm very pleased to introduce our new research teacher as science and engineering, Mr. DeAngelis, who's going to speak on behalf of not only his students, but Mr. Caskey's as well. So, Mr. DeAngelis.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having us here tonight. It's an honor to be working with some of Sayville's best and brightest science and engineering minds through research in science and engineering. Tonight, I would like to recognize a selected group of students for their countless hours of independent work study in RISE Tech programs, and I would like to highlight the scope of some of their research. We're going to start off with RISE, Research in Science and Engineering. Carly Cangelosi is researching athletic injuries and developing innovative and environmentally friendly protective equipment to prevent common injuries such as ACL tears and shin splints, which is medial tibial stress syndrome. Kylie Wilson, another freshman, she's going to be piloting a drone to locate, identify, and film sharks in the nearshore waters of the Great South Bay and the ocean, and eventually create safe zone maps to broadcast warnings and help prevent attacks and injuries. Taylor Carpentier is studying blue mussels and their effectiveness in removing microplastics from the waters of Long Island. Adria, I'm going to do these two together. Adria Vargas is studying the eastern oyster and how it can be used as an indicator of water quality in the Great South Bay. Both of those students are working together with the Long Island Regional Planning Commission's Water Quality Challenge, and they're developing biofilters to treat stormwater runoff from Sayville High School into Greens Creek, which is right down the road from us.
Awesome.
Yeah. Gordon Carpentier, who could not be here tonight because she's a junior commissioner for Keep ISO Clean, has spent countless hours during the COVID pandemic shutdowns, and she was collecting garbage at Foster Avenue to show the effects of the pandemic on the environment. So she couldn't be here tonight, but a round of applause for her.
All the students that
Yeah.
were just announced can come up, please. I'd like to do the citation. Come on over here. Actually, before I read the citation, I just want to say the vantage from the board, it truly is, it does take a village to raise a child. And it's nice because what's rewarding for us is we get to see it start on this level with cabinet to prioritize programs like Rise Tech, the music program, extracurricular programs. And it starts with policy, it starts with funding, and then it goes to dedicated educators that we have here in Sayville that go above and beyond with the students. And then the added benefit is at home, when the students come home, the conversations I get to have with my daughter about the research and the journal articles, and then they get to go out and make the world a better place and improve Sayville. So it's amazing what everyone's doing, and just thank you to everyone, especially very nice. On behalf of the Board of Education, we'd like to congratulate you all and present you with the certificate of recognition for research accomplishments in the RISE program. We're proud to present this award for your achievement of academic excellence and dedication to the student members. Congratulations and thank you.
Let's slide them a little bit and then fucking tight so there's a great banner behind you. Here we go. And then smile at everyone, show them the citations. Here I go. Let me try one more time. And tap. Good. Now, other people behind me, hold on. Let me know when you're done. Well done.
Congratulations, ladies. Awesome job.
Can I make a quick comment? I'm really happy to hear about the work students are doing. We've always had a strong research program as long as I've been paying attention, but there's a decided environmental focus. I'm just so happy. We had the prior science research teacher is a global bat researcher in science. I mean, a legend in the environmental community. I'm just really happy to hear that focus is continuing. You're going to save the world, and I appreciate it. It was awesome. I agree.
Please.
Okay. I'm going to speak for Mr. Caskey. Obviously, he couldn't be here tonight, like Mr. Hopper said. He gave me some notes to talk about a couple of his students that are in the RISE Tech program, and some of their accomplishments from the end of last year at competition, and some of the internships and some of the things that they've done. So at last year's South American Asian Women's Alliance Science Fair, Karishma Patel and Michael Petrie received the Humanity and Science Award for their project titled Hybrid Risk Functionality for Affordable 3D Printed Prosthetics, and each received a prize of $100 for their work in engineering and printing a 3D printed prototype. The group also competed in a virtual Long Island Science Congress and received the Meritorious Award for their project. Other RISE Tech student, Franny Plaska, placed second in the STEM category for that same competition, and her project was titled Reducing Heat Stroke Related Death Injuries through automotive safety technology, and she also received a prize of 150. Her project was also selected to receive an honors award at the Long Island Science Congress. Students in the RISE and the RISE Tech programs who wish to pursue careers in their research topic areas are provided with opportunities to engage in real-world experiences through internships and mentorship programs. Several RISE students committed to taking the time outside of their busy schedules to attend ACE, which is Architecture, Construction, and Engineering Mentorship of Greater New York, and Healthcare Experience Internship programs, 1 to 2 times a week for the entirety of last school year. Their choice to participate, shows their dedication as growing lifelong learners. I just wanted to recognize the people who were involved, the students who were involved in the ACE mentorship. Adam Burkhardt developed designs for Musa Rutledge Architectural Firm through the ACE mentorship. Riley Lapine also did the same thing for the H2M architecture firm. And Jolie Whalen developed designs for the Skanka architectural firm. So congratulations to them. We had 3 students working on healthcare experience and internship. Franny Kloska, again, Karishma Patel, and Michael Petrie.
Everybody. Come on over here. I think one of the other another phenomenal added value and benefit of this is the mentoring that goes on from the upperclassmen down to the underclassmen. An example that's set started with you guys at a young age and then passing it on to the next generation. So thank you guys for doing that. So I'd like to present you all with the certificate of recognition for research accomplishments in the RISE Tech program. We're proud to present this award for your achievement of academic excellence and dedication to the pursuit of congratulations.
Let's try to get onto the banner. We can a little closer, a little tighter. Okay, there we go. Nice smile. One more time. Okay, people behind you, go ahead. Oh, that's how long you're done. Oh, you need one? Okay, one more. Okay, done. Congratulations.
Thank you again for having us tonight. It's a pleasure working with these kids in the RISE program. Thank you. Thank
you. Generally, after we give the student recognition, they all want to rush home and finish up all their homework and all their schoolwork. So if you guys want to take 2 seconds and just finish up your schoolwork and homework, go ahead. We're going to continue regardless.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Superintendent's of Schools report, Dr. Ferris.
Let's give some people some time to exit.
I won't.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Congratulations, Paul.
Thank you.
She's like annotated to a scholar.
All right, everyone. So thank you for coming. And again, I just want to congratulate those students who had amazing achievements. If some of you who are outside, if you want to come in, we now have seats available for you. Great. So in the spirit of election day, we had a very important election at the Cherry Avenue School the other day. And I had the opportunity to walk around and talk to some students about their thoughts on the election, which is refreshing because they were so innocent and peaceful. But I just thought this was a great little clip to illustrate how connected the kids were to their election.
Hi, I'm Dr. Ferris, and we're here at the Cherry School in elementary school in Sayville. We had a great vote today to vote for mascots. Did you get to vote today? And what did you think of your voting for? Okay. Now, who you voted for? Who did you vote? Oh, wonderful. There you have it, folks. The first exit poll suggests the Fox may be elected.
And unlike most exit polls, that poll was absolutely accurate. 100% Fox did win on a 2-to-1 ratio. Cherry Avenue. So congratulations to the Cherry School, who now has a new mascot for Fox. We had a conference day yesterday, which I thought was a really nice event for the teachers. We met with national speaker Cindy Goldrich, who talked about ADHD strategies and other goal setting strategies for high school and elementary school students. We also had Beth Lecretz come and work with teachers on differentiated instruction approaches. We had a varying degree of engagement from teachers from the secondary level as well as the elementary level. And it was a productive day had by all. And then we have some student reports from the high school. We have 2 different, one student is Sarah Jacqueline, will be joining us. Is Sarah here tonight? Yep, come on up, Sarah. Come on over to the side by the podium. One of the things the board had asked, and I think it was a great idea, was to hear from students about their experiences. So we have Sarah, and then we have some other students who are going to be talking just about their experiences in school. So Sarah, thank you for sharing.
All right, good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me here tonight. Thank you to the board for this a great year so far. I know that most people hopefully are happy to be back to the analysis. So I'm a senior, and the senior class is very excited to be starting off some of their activities. So we had a great homecoming. We were happy to take first place in our SpongeBob themed float for cartoons. Coming up the Wednesday, the 23rd before Thanksgiving, we're having our senior breakfast. So we're very grateful for the kitchen staff to be making the breakfast as well as donations. And then we're starting to plan some of our events in June, such as the Inspiration Walk, where all the seniors will go to their respective elementary schools and visit their past teachers and younger students. And then following that, we'll have the senior barbecue, and then as well as prom. And then we're just going to have meetings here and there, figuring out what other events we could do to fulfill senior year. Empty Bowls was an event that the art club had. It was an amazing turnout, and the art club advisors thanked the community for all their donations. We're able to raise a lot of money for the food pantry, so we're happy to make a direct impact in our community. And it was just it was a great time for newer students to meet other students as well as the parents to come down and see the great artwork. Art club doesn't have hours. So it was really just the students volunteering with time on Friday night to come down with these volumes. On behalf of Student Gov, we're starting to plant Every Child's Dream. For those of you that don't know, it's a fan favorite event just because of the impact we can make on others. So it's going to be held on December 16th from 6 to 8:30. We have over 300 guests from local shelters that come, and so they have a nice dinner that Land's End prepares. Seniors get to serve the dinner, which is awesome. And then we also, we'll have ice cream for the children or candy. If they would like, the children can meet Santa and get a gift from him. And then we also have the coat and clothing drive, which is huge. We have the language hallway, and we basically turn it into like a mall, and we accept any gently used items, and they, you can take whatever is needed. So we really thank the community. If you're willing to donate something, like, one coat or one pair of shoes will most definitely make a difference. And we also have wrapped boxes and bins dropped off to all the pre-elementary schools and the middle school as well as around the high school. So please spread the word, because that definitely contributes to the event. And then right before all the students come together and organize that. And it's really just a great time to meet new students. All the clubs come together. The high school is turned into a complete winter wonderland. So, and then, you know, the National Art Honor Society helps make the building look absolutely beautiful. And then it's, you know, they do some face painting, and it's just a great night for other families who are also with us. And then for Athletes Helping Others, on November 19th, we're doing our polar plunge at Cedar Beach, and we're helping to raise money for the Special Olympics team. So they also come and plunge with us. We go out there, plunge in the freezing water, but we raise a lot of money, and it helps towards the Special Olympics event in May, and it's just a great day for all. A lot of great things going on in the high school, and I thank everyone for making that possible.
Thank you.
Also, I was at the high school the other day at an athletic event, and I bumped into 3 students who I met, and they had a lot to say. And I said, well, hey, why don't you come for our board meeting and share that with us? So we have 3 additional students who are coming up to share their experiences. Come on up, guys.
One of our students was not able to make it, but we have these 2 lovely ladies who came to join me today.
Hi everybody, my name is Haley Kelly, and I joined Integrated Athletics last year when I was a freshman. My favorite activity to do there is playing basketball, and I like hanging out with my friends and socializing. I think that Integrated Athletics should have this legislative for more games.
I'm going to read Mia. This is Mia right here. Mia said, this is my 3rd year participating in integrated athletics. I love integrated athletics because we do different activities every day. We meet different schools every month, and it's always a lot of fun. Because of integrated athletics, I made new friends. Another special thing was we got to participate in the Special Olympics. In the Special Olympics, me and my friends had a great day, and we won medals. Our family were there to cheer us on too. Thank you to my coaches, Ms. Morrell and Ms. Montestero, for making integrated athletics a ton of fun. Not a third student who was going to speak, and just because she's not here and I am, I'm gonna real quick. Just a little bit about integrated athletics. We are so fortunate to be in our 3rd year of this program with the help of Ms. Ganti here, Dr. Cox is in the hallway. So thank you to the both of them. Honestly, it's a really great program. We just actually last week had a super successful event. It was a Section 11 sponsored Athletics for All event that we hosted here at the high school. And it was really fantastic. It was a soccer event, and we had schools from all over Suffolk County. I think we had like 120 students come to our event. And it was great. We had, you know, it's an integrated program, so we had all types of students that were there to lead stations, and I can't tell you the just other schools that were so impressed. It was our 1st year doing it because of how well it went. So we're super fortunate. We have a really great support. And we're just really thankful. We're looking forward to another great season.
And to Hayden, thank you guys, because when I met you after school at that activity, first of all, I was really impressed with the activities and all the work that was going on, but they were so verbose in telling me all about it. And I thought when I asked them if they wanted to come, they would say no way. And they actually said, yeah, definitely. So thank you girls for being brave and for doing a great job.
Now, is that program in addition to one that we talked about last week?
Yeah, so that program was in existence. We're adding to it with the basketball.
Okay, so we're hoping to have more opportunities.
Yes, we're adding opportunities even this spring.
Yes, we're going to keep it going.
That's right. So thank you for this. Okay, this is just the end of the volleyball game that happened the other night. I just thought it was an awesome moment. It's very fast, but you're going to see the shot and the win, and it's just, this is what our team is all about. This volleyball team is absolutely outstanding. They won the Suffolk County Championships the other day, and they will be going for the Long Island Championship on Friday at 10 a.m. Is that correct? At Hop. Unfortunately, the starting players were all involved and they cannot play on Friday. But our backup team is eagerly ready to go. No, they're really just a fantastic team. One of the things I love watching about them, I'm just going to take that off, is their teamwork. And there are some really amazing players, but they all spread the ball, they move the ball, they plan their shots, and they systematically picked apart a strong team. And it was just fun to watch.
And the reason why the people in the background are not cheering is because that is the opposing team.
Right.
If the camera was the other way, we'd have seen everyone.
I'm brave, but I'm not brave enough to go to the game.
Who are we playing in church?
It's unknown to now. Okay.
Okay.
Winner of Southside Calhoun, they play tonight.
Okay. My son's.
It's gonna be done.
Oh, you think so?
I think so.
We'll be
Kelly's putting some-
My prediction. Here on that.
In addition to that, on Friday, we also have the playoff game with the football team. So we're looking forward to our volleyball team and our football team continuing to play. I just wanted to give a shout out to some of our other teams that had amazing seasons. The girls cross country won their 3rd consecutive Suffolk County Championship last Friday, and they will be traveling to Syracuse this weekend for the New York State Championship. So we have many championship teams here. That's one of them. The girls swimming and diving team won the league championship last Friday. They placed 4th in Suffolk County Championship at Stony Brook. And they had 6 New York State qualifiers: Emma Haas, Lauren Woody, Megan Brady, Jordan Carpentieri, and Shannon Sweezy. These athletes, along with the coaching staff, will compete in the New York State Championships in Rochester on November 18th and 19th. Our boys played in the Suffolk County Team Championship Monday. They lost in the semifinals by 1 stroke. They had a great season. It could have gone either way. Next year, it will go our way. And then Sayville Middle School girls soccer had an undefeated 10-0 season. Congratulations to Coach Meyer and his entire team. But our sports program continues to thrive, and it's important to celebrate. Just continuing.
I was just clapping for them.
Spirit of inclusivity, we want to make Jillian feel like we continue to study the district as part of our 100 days of learning. We're almost at the point. We're very close. I think next week we're going to be putting out surveys to the families in the community, as well as getting our student surveys. And we're hoping to have a training for our focus group facilitators next week so that we can start to schedule and invite families and parents and community members to our focus groups. We're going to spend the month of November and probably early December kind of collecting data, analyzing data, and then hopefully presenting our findings to the Board of Ed on February, where we hope to start the development of a 5-year strategic. And then, Jillian, did you want to comment on these posters?
Yeah, so we have 2 upcoming opportunities for our students in our community. On the left, I had the opportunity to meet with Sayville School Resource Officer from the 5th Precinct, Officer Zanabria. And the 5th Precinct is very excited. They're reopening their Explorer program for students ages 14 to 20. So I said that I would share with the community. They're having an open house for all interested students ages 14 to 20 who want to join the Explorer program on Tuesday, November 29th at 7 p.m. If a student's under the age of 18, they have to be accompanied by a parent or a guardian, but we're excited about that opportunity. That happens to be a family connect night, so families hopefully are freer to go if they're interested with their child. Also on our next Family Connect night, which is Tuesday, November 29th, we're going to be hosting a community concert. All students and all parents and guardians are welcome to the concert. It's going to be at Sayville Middle School at 6:30. We're inviting in Jared Campbell. So he's an award-winning singer and songwriter. He's performed with Jason Mraz, Gavin DeGraw, the Zach Brown Band, and he's even performed with Journey. So his music is very inspirational, motivational. It highlights resilience, overcoming challenges. He's actually going to be performing for all of our elementary students on November 28th and 29th. He's going to go visit each elementary school and do a concert. But then on the night of the 29th, since it's a Family Connect night, we figured that we could bring our families together, who's ever interested, and have a community concert. and it's a 45-minute presentation. So we invite all interested families and staff members to join us on that.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you. And before we get to our presentation on the business side of the road, we have some policies that you'll be looking at tonight. One did want to point out one of the policies we pulled off for review was the timeout room policy. Currently, we don't have a timeout room, and we're also reviewing the policy. Stacy Giganti is going to a meeting tomorrow with other directors of special education. We're all talking about this topic. Before we put something for you to review, we wanted to kind of pull it, hear what other schools are doing in the county, and then come back to you with some proposals about what we want to do. So that one is not going to be looked at tonight. The other one to be looked at is the volunteer policy, which is being retired because we don't use it anymore. And then there was the minutes and the
Turf field.
and the turf field, which you had commented on. We made some revisions. So if anyone wants to talk about that right now, the floor is open to discuss.
I was one who requested some of the turf field language just be clarified. It was a little unclear which turf we were talking about when and what applied to both. So I think that the changes were helpful. I think that they made them clear, and that is what we were looking for.
And necessary.
Yes.
To distinguish,
Yeah.
can use leads.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. With the policy that you said you took off, because I think we mentioned last week, just even the name of the policy, right, isn't up to date.
Yeah, well, so in some ways it is based on what New York State is saying. So New York State is basically saying and clarifying with new regulations about what you can and can't do related to timeout rooms. Some schools have them, some schools don't. We don't currently have one. We have other spaces and things that we do, but so we want to be very careful in how we present a policy of what we're doing based on what we actually do. But we also have to be aligned with the new state laws. And in the state law, they call it a timeout room. And they define a timeout room as almost any place you take a kid out of the classroom and place them to talk to them about anything if they're not in class when they should be. So it's not necessarily the old-fashioned, obviously, timeout room. It's really more about when you remove a child from instruction, what are your obligations? So we're going to just look at that further before we present.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions about the policy?
And as far as the minutes, we're not changing the procedures of it. It's just reinforcing.
Clarifying some language. Right. So now we get to the part that you've all been anxiously awaiting, the claims audit presentation. Sam has prepared a song and dance for you.
Promise to be a little more interesting than Mr. Campbell from the one we just.
Here we go. Might have to hit the button. Yeah.
So that's not. Two. There, all right. So continuing in our series of audits that let's go through tonight, discussing the claims audit function. And I'd like to mention that joining us tonight is Mr. Mike Perns from MK Consulting. He's actually our claims auditor and the district treasurer and business office quarterback extraordinaire, who is the best right hand support anyone can ever have, to be honest. So I'm going to do some review slides from the past, and this has really become a pillar, no pun intended, of our presentations, but also in displaying the different audits a school district has to have with respect to the structure of the district itself. And again, to review, we've discussed the external audit, the internal audit. We have not really gone in depth in the New York State audit, but today, as I said, the claims audit, which is the description that you see above. So the claims audit and the audit, what are the objectives? Again, this is a slide that I had previously. It's to ensure claims against the district has paid, proper documentation, itemization is provided, and that the board has the authority to audit all claims or to delegate the full responsibility to the claims auditor. That individual must have knowledge in education, financial operations, that they do have training, although they do not need to be a CPA or an IPA. Established under education law, it is not something that is just a rubber stamp. It does demand more than that.
when an auditor looks at a claim package, and a claim package is pretty simple, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it is the purchase order, it is the invoice, the payment, and any other relevant backup, whether it's a bid, spec, or anything that justifies the expense that a district does have to pay out. It is necessary for a thorough examination to determine that it's a legal obligation and a proper charge against the district, and as a general rule, it should, as a matter, contain enough detail and documentation. An effective audit of claims is the last line of defense to prevent, in a nutshell, fraud or unauthorized payments. And some audit findings with respect to a claims audit include claims or vouchers paid prior to being audited and approved, signed checks where they were printed before they were audited and approved, claims were approved for payment despite not being sufficiently supported or have the right documentation, inappropriate payments were made because claims were not reviewed or audited. So it's important to understand that this function is in place so that unauthorized payments or items that don't have sufficient backup aren't sent out the door, because if they are, then we're not doing our job and it opens up the door for fraudulent or misappropriation of funds. So in a package review, and this kind of gets into the granular detail of it, these are the questions, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong, that an auditor must go through, and as you see on the screen, as they're going through it. And, it does seem like a lot of questions, but if you do this enough times, it does become second nature. And I think some of the important ones that stand out is the claim mathematically correct? And does it have the legal and policy requirements in relation to competitive bidding? Some additional questions that are asked: was it made using a county contract, which is also in accordance with our purchasing policy? The one that I love to see, were there any sales tax, because districts are exempt from sales tax charges? Has this been paid before? And were the goods and services actually received? That's actually a very key question to ask. Again, I'm not going to go through the details of this, but payments not requiring pre-audit, there are some items such as salaries, payments related to a court order, or debt service, and any retirement contribution payments. Payments not requiring pre-audit. Again, the board may authorize such payment for utility charges such as PSE&G, postage, freight, and express charges. And again, you see some of the requirements that are in place for such a standard. What are some of the issues that come up with the claims audit? Why are some things not sent out or paid? If the original documentation is missing, the claim should be held until the appropriate supporting documentation is received. Just having a purchase order and sometimes an invoice isn't enough. If it's mathematically incorrect, I would certainly hope that's not going out the door. And if the original invoice doesn't have itemization of goods or services, especially if it's multiple things. For example, if you have a school supply order at the beginning of the year, let's say the school specialty, which is one of our big vendors, and it's not itemized, but you have one big check, you want to know what you're paying. Else, you're not matching appropriately your payments, what you paid for, what was promised, versus what's going out the door. And some other issues, travel and conference. This is a big one because if you're at a conference for 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, meals, travel expenses, taxi charges, etc., they can rack up, but they also have to be itemized, and certain things cannot be charged to a school district, as I said before, such as sales tax. And if the claim is a duplicate, which when you do tens of thousands of purchase orders a year, it is possible that you will have a duplicate, but that's again where the claims audit function comes into play, so that it does not go out the door more than once. Systematic reviews, again, it serves to operate as more than just a cursory review. You have to consider in the broader scope of operation. Why are we here? Why do we have a claims auditor? And it should be aware that there are trends in expenditures that provide opportunities for improving the practice of procuring goods and services, and also realizing that certain expenditures may have been inappropriately incurred. As I said, sometimes they're duplicate purchase orders, sometimes the pricing is incorrect, rate sheets are from a prior year, etc. And some examples to consider with respect to looking at trends when you go through the auditing process. How much did my utility charges go up, whether it's cell phones, the PSE&G bill, the oil bill? How many increases happened for consumables such as office and cafeteria supplies? That depends on the year, especially coming off a, of a COVID year or the post-COVID years that we are in now. Increases in expenditure for movable items such as technology. This is a big one. How many computers, laptops, printers, or what's going on with maintenance equipments and repairs? And items that are in aggregate exceed competitive bidding and thresholds that should be acquired through a bid process rather than just obtaining quotes or off contract. Here comes the good part. This is why Rosalind happened. 2004. What are the red flags when you're processing a claims audit? Missing documents, not having originals, identical amounts from the same vendor. That's a big red flag. Multiple remittance addresses for the same vendor. Inconsistent, vague, or implausible responses. If you keep asking the same question and getting a nonsensical answer. Excessive voids or credits from the vendor. New vendors, especially if payment goes to a PO box. That's a big one. They should have a physical address. And items purchased that are not clearly identified. Again, itemizing expenses and itemizing goods and services. Some other ones, goods delivered outside a central location, credit card charges without an original receipt. All travel and conference claims, they're all risky because, again, they're not physically within a physical location, so to speak. Alterations or questionable handwriting on documents and duplicates, scratching, initialing, striking. Payments to a vendor that have increased dramatically for no apparent reason. Payment to vendors for construction work that's not certified or completed by an architect and engineer. And New York State has actually clamped down significantly over the last 5 years about that with respect to what's known as certified payroll. If that is not submitted, we cannot pay. And sometimes those submissions may include Department of Labor violations with the vendor as well. So that's become a very tricky process. Unusual delays in providing requested information, and honestly, tips of complaints that come about certain companies, which, on occasion happen. So in perspective, Sayville Public Schools, where are we now? Where are we now? Before, again, the claims audit function emerged about 17 years ago. Back in 2012, I did some homework, went back 10 years. Our monthly reports generated over 50 exceptions. That's a lot. In 2012, there were 55 exceptions, and in the following month, there were 53 exceptions. What that means is those are things that were flagged in terms of audit claim packages going out the door that were not deemed sufficient. And as you see, those were some of the exceptions reported: incorrect check amounts, vendor names, itemization, items on the PO didn't agree with the invoice. And as I understand it, it was a constant back and forth. Currently, as we have Mr. Kearns here, he's been with the district since 2019, but he was also the treasurer in the district from 2004 to 2010 on a part-time basis. There's been a lot of tightening up of operations, and obviously with the help of the business office and Ms. Costello, over the last 3 claims, including one that's on tonight's agenda, 6 exceptions, 2 exceptions, and 3 exceptions. And as you see, there's a pretty consistent bullet list here. Actually, these are pretty much all of the ones that you see here that have been on the audit reports that are mentioned above. Clarification of the exact vendor name, contract rate differences, inclusion of sales tax, attaching a fee schedule. Ultimately, they are not major exceptions. They're not major discrepancies, which goes to show, again, how things have progressed over the last few years, but also the diligence shown with respect to the claims audit process. So in conclusion, it's known as a super control by New York State, by the Office of the State Controller, because it identifies claims that violated or bypassed purchasing and other important controls. Most important, conducting a thorough claims audit sends a message to all officers and employees in the district that this oversight function is exercised in a diligent and thorough manner. That is, things will not be paid unless we have the sufficient documentation. Going through the rest of the bullets, it enhances control consciousness among the staff, oversight with the board, and the fiscal responsibility aspect is another dimension that's checked, and a thorough deliberate audit process builds taxpayer confidence in district operations, and by allocating the resources to improve the effectiveness of the claims audit process, enhances the control environment as a whole in the school district. And once again, to bring up the pillars, because it is a really cool graphic. And to acknowledge again the sources by which this presentation came about. And if you want to add anything?
But that was a great explanation of what I do. Just wanted to mention that on top of that, like Tim said, I'm basically the last one in defense, but between Sam and Elaine and the entire business office, they do an unbelievable job. I'm in a lot of districts, and I would have to say that they are the strongest business office that I deal with. And more specifically, the accounts payable department. They've done such a great job of almost knowing exactly what I'm going to ask for and preparing it exactly, a packet exactly the way that I would want to see it. It's almost like they're doing the claims audit before I even get there. So that really speaks volumes about the accounts payable department. They ask questions of me before they actually make it a payment. I don't know if I necessarily love the backup here. Are you going to want more? What about this expense? Proper use of district funds. They're asking those questions before it's even a payment. So they're kind of acting as claims auditors before it even gets to me. So again, just credit to the entire business.
Excellent. I just want to take a moment to thank Sam as well, because really the whole team does a great job.
Sam, him saying that you are this one of the strongest business office since he does so many. That's a compliment, Wayne, high and above.
Thank you. I got to thank my office and obviously Klein sitting here who does enormous work, and we meet a lot, and we have a lot of discussions about what needs to be done. But if that didn't happen, then this comment is unjustified.
Great job.
And I just want to say, as far as the role, for the community, basically the claims order represents the community for the district, protects our interests. In the old structure before Rosalind, it was the board could, I think they still could do.
They would bring in purchase orders and check marks.
Yeah, and how they would think that was possible, that would normal. Whereas you have a structured way of looking at all the claims and making sure that they're proper and true. And I just want to say, through the years since we've had you come on, I mean, the only way you solve those errors is to go back to the beginning of the process, making sure that everybody does their roles properly, and that's what the claims order helps. Thank you.
Excellent. I would like to say too, Sam, and the extension of the business office, I too would like to say I think you're doing a great job. I know being newer to the board and not of a financial background, you've both spent a lot of time with me just explaining to me the different procedures that you go through and reading through the claims audit function every time we get the report. It is very easy to read. And before you gave our current numbers of 6, 2, and 3, I was going to say, I haven't seen that at all. It's, the 55 to the 53 exceptions. It's been very low, and they are always those minor things that you mentioned. So again, thank you so much for doing such a great job.
Yeah, I want to add something too. I'm not a financial person as well. And a lot of things I have, honestly, I kind of like look to Tom towards. And I think you asked really pointed questions. Tom contributes a lot. We have a history, 25 years of a great assistant civil business. There was a lot of apprehension on the part of the Board of Education because we were like, we know that the bedrock of the school and our functioning and health has been our finances. I couldn't be happier with the job you're doing. I'm really proud of you, the district, and of the work of the business office and others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, John.
Okay, do you want to follow through on a security update and a use of facilities?
Yep. So security update, just very brief. The high school walkthrough, which was the last component, was completed last on November 3rd. That was with the Office of Homeland Security for Suffolk County. So we should be receiving those reports hopefully within the next 4 to 6 weeks. I think one of the bigger delays, as we do know, is the Suffolk County database. The infrastructure being currently down. As I mentioned before, with our security cameras, that will also hopefully start underway towards the end of calendar year, beginning of the new 2023.
I also just want to take a moment to compliment Wayne, because I've gone around to all the different buildings, and there must be 5 of you, because every building I go to, you're and then I go to events and you're at the events. So I just want to thank you for you're everywhere, and you seamlessly kind of came into that role, and Like, it seems like our guards are just kind of continuing on and doing a great job with some of your leadership. Okay, that's our report.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris. Next item on the agenda is the Board of Education discussion. We have two items, actually, almost identical. On the claims order report. Tom, you want to speak about any? We did that. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna skip over point two. It's a claims order report.
What else?
Someone else saying. I did have two things, two questions. One is, now that we're streaming, and it's great that they can see the visual of us, all of us up here, but I like to know if we could, anyway, we could split the screen at home. So that people at home watching can see our presentation instead of just looking up at the screen, but they can actually see it on their own.
Yeah, there's definitely a way to do that, and we'll talk to Sal after, and probably we could have that.
I don't know if we can have a camera following Sam around, but
Do we have a drone?
Well, the
drone? Yeah, we got.
Who was doing the research could have one of the.
That's it. Or like,
No, but that's not a problem. It's actually doable. We can just discuss it and have it done for the next meeting.
The second time I had it, I was at the football game the other night, and great that we won. I noticed that the name on top of the school board, we can't see. I'd like to be able to see if we get some lights on it so we could recognize the name on the top, if that's that all possible.
Yes, I noticed that we were standing next to each other.
Yeah, I'm like,
and as the sun went down, it kind of disappeared. So we're like, oh, that would be nice if it was.
as you know, we name the field after a certain individual, we should at least have it in a more K type of setting. So that's what I have.
Anyone else?
Yes, I've gotten a few calls. Sam's gonna love me for this one. About, we have a number of students that go out for baseball. And we were wondering if we could have like maybe an A team, a B team, 2 teams, whatever. Could we possibly do that? Oh, are they? Oh, I didn't know. I think that might come up in public discussion. So why don't we, you can look up the numbers and make sure we can do it so then they can discuss it.
And I just want to.
I'm sorry.
I think it's coming up in public discussion, I guess.
I want to just emphasize,
I didn't know anybody
in my
was
discussions with Dr. Cox, there's many pieces to that puzzle, which is, we have multiple teams, and I have been talking to Dr. Cox about the idea of what would it take to have a no-cut policy at the middle school. We believe very strongly that the more kids are involved in sports, the more the kids are involved in after-school activities, the higher their engagement, the better social emotional well-being, the more well prepared they are to kind of participate. And also, kids develop at different rates, and they go through puberty at different rates. So you could have a star athlete who just hasn't gone through puberty, not making a team, and then you've lost an athlete for the next 6 years. So we do want to look into a no-cut policy, but there are implications. If we do it for baseball, do we do it for lacrosse, do we do it for other? So we have to look at the whole picture, but also consider that as well. So something definitely we want to look into.
I think starting one team, one thing at a time would be good, but let's talk about it in public session.
Anyone else?
If we could bring up for a future meeting, 2 topics that I read about was the curriculum, how how we develop it, what are the rules behind it, just to have clarity on that for the community. And also another article on school branding and how simple, that's funny that that's here today, but how we can use that. The article I wrote is very interesting. Your brand is basically your reputation. That's what it is. And how we can maintain that.
And there's to 2 of those points. Your brand exists no matter what you do. And the question is, what is the brand that exists and what do you want it to be? And you want to tell your story and get your story to be the version of it that you want out there that represents you and your school and your students. So I've actually been in communication with our team. We've been talking about branding as an idea. This was one example of just kind of like putting a brand out there, but it's more than just a logo. It's everything about who you are and what you believe in. And one of the reasons we're doing the 100-day study is because we want to understand, what do our parents believe in? What do they want for their kids? What do our kids want? What do our teachers believe in? So that we can kind of say, this is who we are as Sayville, and this is who we want to be. And that becomes part of the branding process. So absolutely. In terms of the curriculum, we just attended a conference in Syracuse, and at the law conference, one of the topics was, because it's important, parents sometimes ask the question, well, how do you choose what you teach? Are you choosing it locally? Is it a state decision? Is it a federal decision? So we could definitely kind of break down the different areas of like what the standards are, what curriculum is, and where does teacher autonomy come in? And there are 3 levels there, and we can definitely do something on that so that people can better understand it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Great, thank you for bringing that.
I just wanted to, the commendation we had made for athletic programs in Sayville and all parts of school life are amazing. I do want to kind of just put a little shout out there for Miss Urso to connect the dots between 2 different meetings. Miss Urso is chairperson of our department, also our volleyball coach. I just want to kind of call attention to how extraordinary she is as a professional. I had, outside of my role here, run an art show for AHRC disabled adults at a greenhouse. She had 43 students submitting work. This is time that she got the buy-in of her colleagues. And then she just, in addition to doing that and to really being a leader amongst her peers, my own 2 children's favorite teacher. And then she just won a volleyball county championship with an undefeated season. Like, that's what makes our school awesome, people like that. And there's so many. I just was really touched to see the kind of season, and she is all in every part of her professional life. I think that's the kind of backbones that we have in our community and our schools. I couldn't be happier for my kids to have a teacher like that. It's just an incredible profession.
Thank you.
There you go.
Anyone else?
Anyone else? Okay, great. Next item on the agenda tonight is public session. Can I just see a show of hands who would like to speak tonight? Have an idea how much time we're going to need? 3, 4, 5 people. Okay, great. Okay, I'm just going to make a brief statement if you don't mind. The Board of Education, our administrator, listened carefully to what matters of our community to have to say. We follow regulations specified by law and policy as we encourage our community members to offer public comment at Board of Education meetings. The Board of Education requests that anyone who participates in public session demonstrates civility as they address the Board of Education and the community. Board of Education meetings are held in the public view, giving the public the opportunity to watch and listen to the proceedings of the board. In these meetings, district staff updates the board of matters pertaining to the school board, the school district. The board may be required to take action on matters related to district operations. Board policy 1230 provides the opportunity for a period of public comment during these meetings. With that in mind, we offer a brief word of the parameters of public comment period. 30 minutes will be set aside for comments before the public. The board reserves the right to limit public participation in any given case or to extend the time period needed. Questions and comments by the public are limited to 3 minutes per person. Speakers are asked to identify themselves and/or the group they represent. Speakers should conduct themselves in a civil manner and direct the comments to the board. The board will not be permitted to involving discussed individuals, district personnel, students, and community members. If first person would like to step up to the podium, please step up to the podium.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Greg Trainer. I'm coming today representing Sayville Little League, the vice president of baseball. So I was coming to talk about Dr. Kirsch stole my speech in terms of puberty and development. And there are a lot of other sports in the past few years. And basketball and volleyball, I know, has been expanded, and that's great. A lot of my son's friends who maybe just played on the side, and never even been organized, have been able to get in and kind of cherish that of being able to represent, you know, Sayville and their community. Baseball is kind of the one sport where it's even kind of narrow. We actually, this year we had 3 teams that won that we put our all-star team together each year, and they go and play in the Little League World Series. And so three of our teams went through the districts. 1 of them went upstate. We have a tremendous amount of a group coming up, and I could see just doing the math that there's going to be some very hard. The other sort of seem to be inclusive. There's going to be some very hard cuts and some kids who really. Some of them really, that's their sport of focus, and it's I mean, there are bigger problems out there, but there's it really, you know, to be able to expand that. I know there are problems with the Title IX, the softball. I know from the doing the Little League too, we don't really have the numbers in softball, so that wouldn't really be an issue yet. But I know with other sports, but I know in lacrosse, it's a little bit different. I don't know what numbers you're looking at, but I know there are obstacles that Dr. Cox I've written an email to, but I hope that request that you will consider. And I'm here to represent a lot of parents tonight. If it is being considered and you want further comments, I will bring a lot down. But we had an awards dinner the other night. It was a big topic of concern of people seeing that they're narrowing their kids' careers kind of coming to a close. And, you know, we serve the community to a point, and we kind of hand it over to here to let them enjoy and be part of the disabled community. So I think that's it. Like I said, unless there's any questions, but I'll bring more people back, and hopefully you do consider it. And I'd love to get more information and work out any issues that we can help with. So, okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well,
We're gonna respond to the we're gonna respond to all of them. We're gonna respond to your comments.
We have another.
we used to be not limited to library history. Now I'm limited.
You're limited.
Not that I'm paying attention.
My name is Jack. I'm a third student at Sayville Middle School. We need to request there to be a second middle school baseball team this spring. Over the summer, I was on the Sayville BOE sport team. There were 14 seventh graders and 1 8th grader. We won the sections and made it all the way to states. Only 8 teams in New York State made it that far. I believe that with only one team, many of us will not make the middle school team, which has 7th and 8th graders. If there were 2 teams, more of us would have a chance to play for the Sayville Middle School team. I really love to play baseball and would be so happy to play for my school. Please consider adding a second team. Thanks.
I'm sorry, what was your first name?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. You did a great job. Wonderful.
I agree with you. I really about to talk.
Maureen's we're gonna give Maureen 3 minutes now. Go ahead, Maureen, you got 3 minutes.
I totally agree. And I do understand the ramifications that there are many other sports, but we have to start with one. And right now, since baseball is in the forefront, I'm going to ask Mr. Cox, does he see that it might be feasible to have 2 middle school teams?
I think a discussion with Dr. Ferris, we've had an ongoing discussion, and Dr. Gerges as well, and certainly we're evaluating all of our programs, and we're going to assess and evaluate and see what we can do.
Do we have the money for it?
Your question.
Maureen, your time is up. Maureen, your time is up.
I'm just gonna add something. Everyone in the room believes that we should be doing something like this, right? But not for baseball. I'm a baseball guy. I love baseball. I had sons who went through the baseball programs and also benefited from the fact that there were 1 or 2 teams. And I think this is something we could fairly say, yes, of course, this is good for kids. That's something we want to focus on. We just have to look at the numbers. We have to look at this equity also. I would choose baseball over any other sport. It doesn't mean that we look at the other sports and make sure that it's even and fair and balanced. So we're going to look at it hard, and we're going to come back to you and give you an answer to you. But what I want you to know is, prior to this meeting, Dr. Cox, when I sat in the room with you a month ago, what did I ask you?
We talked about what can we come up with a plan to have no gut policy and have teams where kids play
for all middle schoolers in all teams.
Well, I think we got a great spokesperson out in the audience right there.
Yeah. And Jack, you're a poster child.
This has been discussed.
Yeah. So we're on it and we're moving towards it, but we gotta do it systematically. And we got to make sure that we also present to you something that's realistic and sustainable for all children and fair. And if baseball has first, that ahead of another sport, it doesn't mean that you do one or the other. You have to look at the whole picture.
You do have to look at the whole picture, but we have to start someplace. Correct. So Jack presented a very good.
I agree, Jack. Good job. Jack, what position do you play? Right field. Okay.
Good job.
I think he's going to be the coach too. So. Thank you, Jack.
So of course I have to make a comment,
yes,
because this team that Jack just spoke about was the same team I gave a shout out to last weekend. Just happens to also be my son's team, on the same team with Jack. And I'm happy that you're going to look into it. Thank you very much. And Jack, thank you so much for getting up and speaking so nicely to us and giving us all the facts. Good job.
And Jack, you know how politics works, right? Yep. So you know where you're going, right? Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Anyone else? Thank you.
Just
James, you want to make the point?
Yeah, just
hold on 1 second.
I'm just really happy that you're asking for another team. Like in athletics today, there's such a move for like academy sports, and it's really monetizing people's dreams for the future. There isn't like that commitment to like, I want to wear the Sayville uniform. It makes me feel good. Like, thanks, Jack. You were great. It's hard. You made a hard sell. It's definitely something that it's going to be difficult, but thank you, baseball. Appreciate it.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. There were just 2 things that I want to talk about. One, I'm going to wait till the next meeting because it's
a different type of conversation, and I don't want to steal Jack's thunder here. So I'm gonna push that off to the next meeting. I'll come back. It wasn't bad, but I feel like we're in a positive vibe here, so I don't want to break that. So the other thing that I was just gonna say quickly was I've watched a lot of what Jillian does. I know she's been around for a long time at Sayville. I don't know if she's in like a tenure track spot or this new position, but I've been around education a lot. You have to do whatever you have to do to keep her. Okay, because I have a feeling. I see the initiative that she's starting in this position, and I get that feeling in my gut that she's gone soon. Like to big, I don't want to say better, but other positions, I don't know if those are her aspirations, but I think that you got struck gold with this position and who you have here. So that was the other thing that I want to say. Second thing I wanted to say that maybe it would be beneficial to Jack's issues if you can't foreseeable work in another middle school team, because middle school is hard because it's modified. Every kid has to play, playing time gets limited, and before you know it, kids are only playing one inning, the ball doesn't get hit to them, they might not get in that bat, it gets frustrating. Another option could be adding a freshman team. And if you add a freshman team to the high school level, these kids, when they all get there, it sounds like Jack's cohort is fairly large. If you add a freshman team to the high school, that has exponentially helped athletic programs across the island. So every athletic program that has a team that has a freshman team. So at Floyd, we have it in football, and we have it at soccer. Those are perennial top performing teams in our district, in the county, throughout the island. Why is that? Because we don't have to cut freshmen. We do have cuts at the middle school level. We do have 2 middle schools. We actually have a larger population. But what happens is the kids stay involved. They know when they get to high school, there's a freshman team. You can take your sophomore, your better freshman, and move them up to the regular JV team. And then you take your kids, like I think Dr. Ferris said, or somebody had mentioned it, that kids don't all grow at the same rate. And you never want to cut that freshman that's going to be a 6'2", 215-pound right fielder in 3 years, and then he loses his spot. So that's another avenue that maybe you could explore if the modified team, the 2nd, 7th, 8th grade team does work. Maybe help Jack out with it there.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, Dr. Ferris, in the spirit of giving praise where praise is due and where credit is due, that's why I have come here tonight. My name is Rob Barry. I am Jack's dad, and Jack is in the 7th grade in the middle school, as he said, and I also have he has a twin brother named Colin, who I am equally as proud of. However, Colin doesn't have the same opportunities to participate in sports as Jack, because Colin is on the autism spectrum. So you see, when you're raising 2 kids who are twins, and one is on the autism spectrum and one is not, you see a lot of different milestones that the one misses. Riding a bike to school, for one, getting a cell phone. But the one that was always particularly tough was he never got to play Little League, and he never got to play on the same team as Jack and wear the same uniform. Well, that's over. Thanks to Dr. Cox and Mrs. Giganti and Coach Jensen and Colin's aides, Colin was able to play on the cross-country team this year. And it was the first time that I got to see both of them wearing the same uniform and competing. So that was huge. And I want to thank you all for that. And I think it's a great thing, and keep it going, And I'll tell you that, Colin, he wasn't coming in first, but I will tell you that anytime he crossed the line and he could get everybody cheering for him, you would think he was winning the New York City Marathon. I mean, he was grinning ear to ear, and it really boosted his self-esteem, and it gave him a lot of confidence and just a sense of belonging. So I want you to know how important that was to him, and also how important it was to us. So we thank you all for that, and we appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
I'm with you, Mr. Barry. That's hopefully why all of us are in education, to create those opportunities for kids. So I want to thank you for just being part of that.
Anyone else? Mr. Barry, I want to say thank you for your kind words. I want to say thank you for doing such a great job with your son. And little Barry, I want to say you're doing such a great and what you're doing such a great job with your father too. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Anyone else? If not, we're going to move right on. I need a motion to 7-1 approve minutes of our workshop meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. Without objection, could I call 8-1 through 10-3?
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Motion carried. Upcoming events to remember. Couple of big things, girls volleyball. Friday, 10 o'clock, Hopwood High School. Let's go volleyball. Veterans Day is Thursday, which I think is tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's Thursday, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
Friday.
Okay, today's not Thursday.
Oh, yeah, we usually have our.
Tomorrow's not Friday. Every day Saturday for me, but I know it's like, but for you guys, maybe. November 10th, 11th, 12th, high school play. 17th, 18th, and 19th, musical at the middle school. 23rd, senior breakfast, 24th and 25th, Thanksgiving recess, and we'll be all back here on the December 8th Board of Education meeting. That's and that's all I have. Any motion to go to executive session to continue our discussion?
Motion. Tell me about that too.
Our next meeting is in December.
December 8th.
December.
December 8th.
Yeah, same
Any
Thanksgiving.
motion to go to the executive
Should we
session?
hold your minute recess and then again?
Yes.
Okay, now what, we're going to a 5-minute recess, then we're gonna go to the executive session. So I need a motion for recess and a motion for the executive session. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks so much for coming.